Hello everybody, my name's Takriva and welcome to Victoria 2. We're once again playing Victoria 2. It's been a while since our previous game, but not everything is as it seems. Currently, you can see that I'm using the Pop Demand mod, but this is just a small part of the actual mod that I'm using. The mod it's called Divergences of Darkness, and I've played this mod like 3, maybe 4 years ago, a long time ago. That was even before there were expansions for Victoria 2, actually. Maybe just House Divided was out, not yet Heart of Darkness. And the idea just intrigues me so much, because what are Paradox games known for? Changing history. You start off as it was, and then you go on and stuff happens and the world turns out differently. So there are ways to accomplish this through the normal game, like the CK2 to EU4 converter, that lets you convert the world as it is in CK2 at whatever point you decide, and turns that over to the 1444 level in Europa Universalis. And there's an unofficial one that does the same for EU4 to Victoria 2. But this mod just starts out at a new point. And I'll just read out what the introduction to the mod says on its forum page on the Paradox Plaza forums. According to the quantum theory, every decision made in the universe creates an alternative universe, where all the following events take a different way. The first decision that diverged the timeline is called the point of divergence. In the Divergences of Darkness mod, there are points of divergences that are not bound to each other. So these things happen roughly during the beginning years of EU4 normal campaign, slightly before or a while after. Anyway, the Duke of Burgundy decides to continue his support for the Plantagenets in the 100 Years' War, allowing France to win, as far as I'm aware, or is it the other way around? Anyway, we'll see in a moment. Not entirely sure. Plantagenets, the name, it sounds like it's the French, but you never know. The personal union of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden survives and evolves to a unitary state. In EU4, we know this as Scandinavia, the Kalmar Union, but it breaks apart in real life, and in this mod, it's still here. Isabella of Spain married a Portuguese prince instead of Ferdinand II of Aragon. Well, you'll see. And finally, the Changhua Emperor does not stop Ming China's explorations, but decides to pursue them with greater zeal than before. But that were not all the changes. The timeline began to diverge more and more, and after 400 years, the very world as we know it looks absolutely different. Welcome to Divergences of Darkness. And this is already completely different. As you can see, Bohemia survived, Burgundy survived, Austria is actually quite small, Venice is bigger than Austria is, they own the southern part of Greece. The dual monarchy of England and France exists, which is what's the leftovers of the basically of the 100-Year War. Spain indeed became one nation together with Portugal instead of Castile and Aragon. It's Portugal and Castile that form the union. Aragon basically owns most of the Mediterranean, has Naples, Sicily, Sardinia and Corsica, and a little bit of the North African coast. Poland, Lithuania still exists. Russia never formed. What is this? That's Pskov, actually. It's quite decent sized, I must add. Scotland joined the Kalmar Union. That's what's happening over here. Scotland never was absorbed into Great Britain through the marriage between or the inheritance of James VI of Scotland, who became, I think it's James VI, who became James I of Great Britain, basically after that. Or, well, of England. Great Britain did not exist until many years later. when it was formally incorporated into the, well, United Kingdom. Hungary still exists here. We have an independent Crimea still. We still have some leftover Khanates. I mean, Russia never formed, so the Mongol Khans actually had a chance to keep going and just stay alive, basically. But that's just Europe. I mean, if we go over to China, we have quite a few factions in China going on. We have Ming, Taiping, Tongning, Shun, Daxi. Dainam owns a part of China here. We have, well, this is the part of the dual monarchy in India. Basically, in 1836, England had already, well, Great Britain by then, had already conquered most of India, but now they only own down here, Sri Lanka. Down here, we don't see much of a Dutch influence in Indonesia, because, well, the Dutch are still part of Burgundy. And, yeah, just, that's what's going on here. Japan has not been united. Korea actually is, half of it is Japanese. The other half is Ashikaga Bakufu. There's actually a civil war going on between the Ashikaga Bakufu and the Japanese Empire right now, so they might still form up as one. Manchu never actually formed the Qing dynasty. I think that's what happened in reality, in real life, to form China. Well, there are a lot more tribes going on in Central Africa compared to the base game of Victoria 2. Yeah, there's a lot actually going on. Different colonizations everywhere, by the way. Burgundy has the Cape, Leeuwin, which is probably an offshoot of Burgundy, actually, because Leeuwin, it sounds very Dutch. Scandinavian Africa is also in several places. And then we have South America. We have Beornia, which is a English colony. It used to be England. Well, English people have been sent here or went there. Tawantinsuyu, I think that's actually left over of the Incan Empire. If I just see what's going on. Yeah, I can't see what culture these people are. Lotharingia, which is probably a Burgundian. Amazonie, that's... I'm not actually sure which nation. And then there's Gran Colombia, which is the revolution of the Spanish states in North and South America. And they're in a huge war against Spain right now. And actually, they just 2 days ago, maybe, released the 0.6 update to Divergences, which actually changed the gameplay of South America with different events and everything going on. See, Spain still controls Cuba. Scandinavia has Haiti and, I want to say, Puerto Rico. Or is that Jamaica? I'm not entirely sure. All these different islands. What is this? That would be Poland. Lithuania owns a colony. And then there's, of course, North America. But this is not North America, because this is just America. This is Arcadia, which has been mostly colonized by French people. The Seven Republics is a offshoot of the dual monarchy, as is Plantagenet, which is actually, as far as I remember, this is what I read a couple of years ago. Anyway, there was a dispute, whoever needed to become the next king of the dual monarchy, and the Plantagenets actually lost that one to whoever is in charge right now of the dual monarchy. And so they fled to Arcadia and decided to take over the colony or establish their own colony here. Actually, wow, Florida's Venetian, by the way. They got this territory, freed itself from the dual monarchy. The Seven Republics you can compare it to the USA, but it's a lot smaller. 7 republics instead of the 13 colonies. And then there's Finland, which is, well, the Scandinavian. The Vikings actually managed to go over to colonize most of Canada, and Michigan and Illinois, and some northern parts of Ohio and Indiana, which are over here. And they still have Maine, I think, that's over here. Anyway, but on the other side, we have Kedek Hagen and King Q. Q is the Chinese colonization of Arcadia from the west, and they are also interested in becoming a big part of this new world. And Kita Kaigan, if I remember correctly, is actually the Japanese colony of Alaska. The Ainu is just, well, uncivilized. They're basically the tribes here in Siberia. But yeah, there is a lot of territory. Oh yeah, Zarao, which is also a Chinese colony. And Aotearoa is the Aborigines, the Maori in New Zealand. And Tuitonga is Maori, as far as I remember, Polynesian. All these Polynesian states, Hawaii is its own state. Anyway, yeah, I've already spent 10 minutes showing you this new world. I think actually the Middle East is the most normal out of all of them. The difference here is, of course, the lessened influence of Great Britain that you can see with Afghanistan, Herat. Great Britain was a huge influence in this area at the time, but they haven't had a chance to do that yet. And what we're going to play is the powerhouse of the dual monarchy, because there's a lot of interesting gameplay in this particular version, and I just want to be, well, the big purple blob. They have the purple color, blue and red, basically. Yeah, let's actually get into the game, or Grand Campaign. Ever since the end of the Great German War, the ideals of freedom and nationhood cherished by the German rebels seem buried. In England, Holland, or Brandenburg, the authority of foreign kings is uncontested, but the calm over Europe since the end of the war is an illusion. Throughout the continent, the beginnings of industrialization, the spread of new knowledge, and the growing discontent amongst the population hint at changes to come. In Arcadia and America, you see America is the southern continent and Arcadia is the northern one. Young powers are emerging to challenge those in the old world, and in supposedly sleeping Asia, old nations are reinventing themselves. Silence. Cue the music. And this is the dual monarchy. Are we at war? Actually, I have no idea if we are at war or not. Let me refamiliarize myself with the way Victoria 2 works, by the way. Yeah, there doesn't appear to be a war. Ottoman Empire is trying to fight off Albania. There's a Colombian War of Independence of Spain versus Gran Colombia, about equal in army size. Egyptian Uprising. Oh, yeah, the Ottoman Empire is indeed falling apart. Ethiopia has a civil war going on, tries to unite the nation. Boshin War, unite the nation, basically. Josian fight for freedom against both of them, actually. Oh, so that's going on. Korea is trying to free itself, while Japan is trying to unite itself. And more uprisings for the Ottoman Empire. Yeah, the Ottomans are falling apart. And we see here that some of these are also, yeah, the Chinese are trying to unify themselves as well. We can create a couple of colonies. Anglo-French Ceylon. Okay, let's go to the political map mode. Is this not actually a... Click to upgrade to colony. You need 16 colonial points to do this. It's not a core, actually, so... Oh, they're actually... Yeah, let's upgrade them to colonies then, at least. All of them. Sierra Leone. Can I go further inland? Unable to colonize because of life rating issues. Okay, fine. I'm gonna make them all ours. So we do actually own a little bit of the African area here. So we're gonna try and get bigger in Africa. That's a protectorate now. Anglo-French Atlantic Islands. Yeah, we're Anglo-French. Increase the opinion of Bengal. So how is Bengal feeling about us? Oh, we've just passed them. We're cordial. Great powers, everyone else is just neutral. Yeah, let's actually increase their opinion of us. And increase some of this. So when it comes to spheres, we have Navarra and Savoy sphered. So Navarra is actually still... Wow, Navarra is still... independent. But they're a satellite of Aragon, though, so they're not actually independent. Savoy is in the Aragonese... No, that's Provence. Savoy is in our sphere, and this is Savoy. Interesting. So if we actually look at the sphere of influence for us... So, yeah, so here we can see the sphere of influence. Oh, Venice is in the Aragonese sphere of influence as well. So we have the dual monarchy is one superpower and one world power, great power. Scandinavia is number 2, we're number 1. Then there's Burgundy, there's Bohemia, which actually has Poland and Lithuania as well. The Ottoman Empire, for now. Spain, Aragon. Is that also Spain? Yeah, that's Spanish. Burgundy has some claims here as well in India. And Gran Colombia is also a great power. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and Gran Colombia is 8. Okay, let's go back to the political map mode. So we have some ideas. The new ideology. Wow, there's a lot of things that we can do right now. National value. Turn on the function to change the national value. Enable remove from sphere decisions. Oh, okay. These are things that voluntarily remove countries from a sphere are turned off by default to keep them from cluttering up your list. Select this decision to enable them. That's for later on. To change the national value. No idea what that does exactly. The world of Divergence is vastly different from ours. If you aren't familiar with its history, you should read that piece of text. Yeah, I'll probably do that, actually, for all of you. Restored academia. We are currently a avant-garde intelligentsia, which gives us a huge boost to culture tech research, but a 5% deficit to all the others. I don't mind that for now, at least. And a new ideology, new ideas have come to our nation, and with them come new doctrines and principles that will change the foundations of how our people live. Prestige goes up, pop consciousness goes up as well. Okay, so we have decided to do that, and we'll do the history of the dual monarchy. The execution of Joan of Arc would come to mark the beginning of the end for the French Wars of Succession, as the Armagnac party would never again rise to what it once was. The Valois and their allies would fight on for another 70 years, but with the victory of Edward the Red Prince at Vichy, the future of a dual monarchy of France and England was secured, only being confirmed with the 1498 Treaty of Rome. The threat of encirclement with the marriage of Anne of Brittany with Jean III of Burgundy led to the breakdown of the Anglo-Burgundian alliance in 1490, when, unable to challenge the marriage, invaded Brittany during the Anglo-Franco-Breton War. Burgundy, unable to provide support against France due to the rebellion fomented by the House of Lorraine, forced Brittany's surrender. While it was too late to annul the marriage, with Jean having consummated it, the Treaty of Le Verger effectively saw Brittany annexed into the French crown. The Reformation presented new challenges to the unity of the thrones. The deep involvement of the Valois in aiding Zwingli's escape from papal and imperial imprisonment was too good a pretext to end any alternate succession, causing the Languedoc War, and ending with the conquest of Languedoc and Auvergne, leaving only a rump provincial state in the Azure coast and in Rhône. That would be the Provence. In Rhône. In addition to the affairs of Provence, it also engaged in what became known as the Great Game with the Kingdom of Burgundy and the Crown of Aragon. The subject of these wars of influence came about with Navarre, which saw the conquest of the country of Foix and Béarn, that was down here, if you know your EU4, in 1516. The Italian peninsula, which ended largely as a victory for the Aragonese, as most of the peninsula, save Savoy, Genoa, Milan, and the Emilian dukedoms, fell under their influence, compared to only Savoy for the dual monarchy, and even the county of Provence, which easily fell into the Aragonese camp to save them from being destroyed by the Plantagenets, which would be us at that time. While aggressively fighting heresy abroad, the kings of both thrones were initially tolerant of Protestants. King Francois I was torn between dynastic links to the firmly Catholic Jagiellons of Bohemia and a large portion of his populace firm in their new faith. Further strife in England and in Aquitaine, combined with the growing threat of Burgundy, long the champion of the Protestant cause, tipped the balance, leading first to the Anglo-French wars of religion, both within the kingdom and among its neighbours, and later, after the defeat of the exodus of the Protestant Huguenots to Burgundy, Scandinavia, and colonial New Burgundy, now the Seven Republics. Colonial New Burgundy, that's where the Seven Republics come from. And the Anglican Father Pilgrim and their followers to what they would call New England, now Beornia. Indeed, it's extremely interesting to me. This is just alternate history explained, and I will just finish this, and that's going to be the end of this episode. We haven't even gotten to the game yet. While England was briefly a viceroyalty under the Dukes of Gloucester, the throne would be forever undivided, following the dissolution of the English Parliament by Henry VII in 1537, and its merging into this État Général. The nobility, with the exception of some distant provinces, converged increasingly to Paris as French became the official language throughout both kingdoms. This led to the gradual Francification of England, as one's English name were increasingly replaced by French. By the turn of the 19th century, French has become the primary common language in the southern parts of England. The concept of a centralized parliamentary body was revolutionary for its time, and almost ironically would influence the future legislative bodies of the Burgundian Estates Générales, the Savoyard Subalpine Senate, the Aragonese Cortes, and the Scandinavian Riksdag, among other European states. The Anglo-French history in Ireland was also something of a peculiar moment. During the French Wars of Succession, English and later Anglo-French control of the island was left in the hands of the House of Fitzgerald, the Earls of Kildare, as much time was spent in building a new administrative apparatus for both England and France. Because of this, the Kildares, along with the House of Desmond, both began to rule Ireland as if it was their own kingdom. The issues which had been building up during the twilight of the reign of Henry VIII culminated in the Three Irish Wars, which gradually saw Ireland pacified, the rebel Irish lords killed, and the King of England and France reaffirmed as Lord of Ireland. With the unexpected ascension of James VI of Scotland to the throne of the North in 1500, the Plantagenets faced the threat of encirclement by the alliance of Burgundy and the former. The exodus of the early 17th century was compounded by wars against Burgundy and Scandinavia, pushing emigration to the colonies of Plantagenet and Amazonie. Okay, so Amazonie is indeed a dual monarchy colony. However, the pushing towards these colonies were not without strife there as well, as conflicts were rife between colonial Vinland and New Burgundy, as well as against the Cherokee and Creek, among other First Nation tribes. Eventually, the dual monarchy secured its position as the unquestioned power in Western Europe, amid the gradual decline of Spain. A period of relative peace in Europe allowed the dual monarchy to expand its influences abroad. The dual monarchy established trading posts along the coast of Sierra Leone, allowed them to trade European goods for slaves to be sent to the New World. A series of wars with the Kingdom of Kandy saw the entirety of Ceylon becoming an Anglo-French crown colony, allowing access to the Indian Ocean trade through good relations with the Nasrid Sultans of Bengal. That's up here. At the same time, there was a great degree of expansion in the Anglo-French colonies in the New World, as conflicts with Scandinavia, Burgundy, and Spain reinforced its mother country's position. This period of colonial expansion was broken with the War of the Anglo-French Succession, leading to the independence of Plantagenet under a cadet branch of the House of Plantagenet. Remaining largely aloof during this opening stages of the Great German Wars allowed the Industrial Revolution to take hold, and the dual monarchy seemed set to dominate this new realm as well. But the battles of the later war quickly demonstrated that the old rival Burgundy was again on the rise, as even beaten and battered, it remained victorious, losing only its other colony Amazonie to independence. Okay, so Amazonie is a Burgundian It's a Burgundian colony, apparently. The dual monarchy enters the middle of the 19th century as the ultimate global power, but the first time in over a century its position does not appear unassailable in Anvers and courts beyond. Anvers would be the capital of Burgundy, and we do have Paris as our capital. Anyway, that's your history lesson for today, your alternative history lesson, I should say. I would like to thank you all for watching. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and tune in tomorrow for the actual start of this Let's Play. And make sure to subscribe to be able to get updates on it regularly as well. I'll see you guys later.